Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tea Time with Jesse. I'm your host, Jesse. Hi, Jesse. And here today we have our host, Jules, two-time winning makeup artist?
Yes.
Makeup artist. Makeup technician, makeup artist, makeup performer.
Performer.
You like that?
I like performer. I do perform.
Performer is it is a type of performance. And so
is.
it's actually really funny. I thought to have you on the show because we met on the roof of the building. We actually live in the same apartment building. And we just basically started having a conversation. And I thought to myself, I was like, this is an interesting conversation. This was a lot of fun.
It was.
It was a good time. So I was like, hey, you should come by for tea sometime. And then it turned out that we dawdled so long on that. By the time you came for tea, I had a tea talk show. So
it's perfect timing.
It's perfect timing. So very excited to have you on here. We're going to talk about makeup. We're going to talk about figuring out Hollywood stuff, and also there's a lot of other interesting cross-cultural questions I'm always interested to hear about. But to start, we're going to start by making this young twin snow jasmine tea. So this is your basic kind of jasmine tea. Give it a smell. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Very nice. So the a lot of the jasmine tea in the States is like they take green tea and then they spray it with jasmine oil, so it smells really good, but then you're covered in oil. Whereas what they do with this stuff is they take the jasmine leaves and then they take the green tea leaves, they lay them flat, and then they put jasmine flowers on top of the leaves.
Wow.
And at night, the leaves, the flowers open up and they put their scent into the leaves. And then the next night they do it again, and the next night they do it again, and the next night they do it again. And so they scent it 4 times. And then that's what gives the jasmine tea. It's green tea, but it gives it the jasmine flavor because it has it's been scented a couple times before.
That's really beautiful. I feel like you would enjoy that cup of tea much more if you knew the process.
Yeah, this is part of the fun of doing the tea stuff on the internet for me is like in China, because I didn't know this before I went to China either, but there's like they've spent a lot of time figuring out how to do tea in a really good way. And it's not to say it's the only good way, but it is a very good way. So we'll drink this one. Normally, for the first steep of tea, you pour them out over the tea pets. Over here, we have 2 tea pets on the table. We got a little tiger.
Oh, little tea pets.
Yeah, they're little pets and a puffer fish. But because this green tea, you don't get too many steeps of it, we're going to drink this first steep as well, which is not a problem.
And you didn't...
Yeah, smell that.
Ooh, wow.
Nice?
There it is. Now I
There's
smell
a jasmine.
You didn't leave it in there for that long.
No, it doesn't need to be in there for that long. For this one, I'd say maybe 20 seconds or so is pretty good, and we'll get it a little bit longer steep time as we start up. But
do we cheers?
Cheers. Yeah, there we go. Enjoy.
Oh, wow. Wow.
What do you think?
Wow. You're drinking it fast. It's hot.
Oh, yeah. For tea people, it's like I have no sensation left in any of these
Okay, because I'm over
fingers.
here like, okay, taste buds.
Yeah, you don't need you have no rush.
Throat.
It's tea time. There's no rush in tea time, right?
Yes, relax.
I was,
one must be one with the tea.
Yeah, exactly. It was funny, because normally I'd have had a little bit of tea before the shoot, but then I was like, well, I'm not going to have tea and then have tea again. So I was like, maybe I was waiting. I was like, I'm ready.
This is really,
what does
really
it sound?
good.
Yeah. What does it taste like?
In the best way possible, I mean this. It feels like lotion.
That's
in my throat, but in the best way possible. Not like in that weird, it's like very soft.
Not like normally when you swallow your lotion.
Lotion, right? It's like it's very soft. It's very comforting.
Yeah, the jasmine tea is really, it's one of those teas that made its way over to the States. Like if you say jasmine tea, people know about it, but some of the teas like that are not good, but actually jasmine tea is good.
Wow, yeah. It feels like it should have a weird taste after you drink it. There's this burst of
the
something.
aftertaste.
Yeah, but I like it.
Yeah,
which is normally I don't.
So when you do the jasmine scenting with the actual flowers, what happens is it kind of soaks into the tea. And so it's not like, ooh, I smell jasmine. Yeah. It's like the whole flavor of the jasmine is kind of in the tea. So there you go. Very good. So thank you again for coming on the show. So you have won 2 Emmys as a makeup artist.
Yes.
How did that get started? Were you always into makeup from like as a kid, or
I was.
You were.
I was always into makeup. My mother grew up in Haiti, in a small town, Go Naives, and she always loved makeup. Like she would literally, because she grew up, poor, she would go and get like coal or roses and make makeup out of them.
So like whatever they had around.
Whatever she had around.
Wow. So and then would she like make her own like 2 parts this, 1 part that sort of thing?
Sort of kind of thing, like with the coal, she'd crush it up. You put a little water and it makes like a paste.
Okay.
And then she would use that as like to do like a smoky eye.
Okay.
Or just taking the roses, like real roses that are like not been with all the stuff on them. You just rub it on your cheek. And
really?
If you rub it hard enough,
you'll get a little blush.
You'll get a little blush sort of thing.
Oh, wow.
So she used to grow up telling me these stories, and I would just be like, wow, like. You really were trying to get your face done.
Yeah.
Like, that is intense.
Also, it's another thing, like, it's not just about like having the makeup itself. It's like knowing what to do with it.
Exactly.
So like, that way of learning is like the best way of learning. I don't know why it's like I feel like I was like capable of things when I was a kid that now I'm not capable of anymore.
Just because the world told you not to dream so big.
Yeah, or like as a kid you didn't know that this is supposed to be hard. Like if you were like today to be like, we're gonna go to Haiti and like find local materials and do all this stuff, you'd be like, you could get like you could like pitch that to a company.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a kid, you're just like, why wouldn't I figure out how to make the colors and shapes that I want
around
right?
the things I have around. So as she got older, she, of course, then she had a job. So then she would buy so much makeup. Like every time we went to the mall, we were at the beauty counter for at least an hour. Like her trying on things, and I mean all kind of brands. So, and she always encouraged us to wear makeup. Me and my sisters, like it was almost an offense if we didn't have makeup on. She would be like, "You look like a man."
Yeah, you look like a man. Mom was pretty brutal about it.
Yeah, she was. And my sister, poor her, she had like really bad acne growing up, and she would just be like, "If you don't put something on, like." Jesus Christ.
So it was very expected you should be having makeup on.
Yeah, and so it's so weird now when I like hear people like, oh, young girls shouldn't be doing this and that. It's like the stigma that people put around makeup. It's like it is what you make it, and that's it.
Well, that's because that's part of the question. I feel like makeup is one of these things. It's like, who is it for and who is it serving?
Yeah.
Because it's like if the idea is like, oh, you have to get makeup because of societal pressure, then all of a sudden this is not fun.
Right.
If you choose to do it, then maybe it is more fun.
Yeah.
But then what do you do if society is like, I don't believe you did choose.
Yeah.
I think you're still pressured. I mean, what do you take away from that sort of? Is this the wrong conversation, or does that make sense?
No, it's the right conversation, and I think just because of the experience that I have, makeup is for everybody. It was really. I grew up in a small town. I was one of 5 black kids in my school.
Oh, wow.
So
in the States.
In New Jersey.
I was gonna say a small town of like only 5 black kids in Haiti would be pretty unusual. They're like, what part? With the very tip of the island. No. Oh, but yeah. So yeah.
So it was for me. I was already different.
Okay.
So wearing makeup wasn't anything. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't something that was like foreign because I'm already different. If I wear blue mascara, that's only going to make me more different, which I'm already there.
Well, and also like, you like makeup could be used to blend in or to stick out. So like, I guess in your case, you were like, well, it doesn't matter what color blush I have. I'm already going to stand out.
I'm already going to be.
So you might as well lean into that and be more of who you are.
Exactly.
But that's good. That's the sort of thing that like, forget makeup. It's like, I found like a lot of artists in general have some sort of thing when they're young that they're like, okay, I need to be special in this way, or I want to be special in this way, or I am special in this way. And then instead of fighting it, kind of saying, well, all right, well, if I'm the stretchiest person in the class, I guess I'm going to the circus,
Yeah, and that was my way that I got through school. I mean, really up until college, because in small towns like that, you grow up with the same people. You don't have a lot of people coming in that are new, so that same mindset always stayed throughout the years. And I was like, you know what, clearly with senior year I get to get out of here and do my thing. Until then, we will just have a good time with it. And makeup allowed me to do that. I remember so many times, like, just getting dressed for school and doing my makeup and having fun with it. And that really led me back to, as I became an adult, I did go to college. I kind of, makeup was amazing, but I never thought of it as a career. Growing up in New Jersey, there weren't any makeup artists where I was.
Or like your family was not like, we're in the business.
No, my mother and father are both Haitian. My mother's a nurse, a registered nurse. She did that after coming to this country, having to learn English, having to learn everything, not finishing high school.
Easy.
She became an RN, which is like
one
of the hardest.
Impressive.
Yeah, which is like one of the hardest degrees, bachelor degrees.
A lot of native speakers don't stick it out through that program, you tried?
I had to.
Oh, your mom
when
was
you
like,
have parents like that, like it's not even a thing of like, I don't want to, or what do I want? Like, you just have that respect that what they say, you do it.
It's interesting because I hear a lot from my comedian and actor and performer friends in China. Like, the big story is like, how do I get my parents to be okay with me doing this?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I'm trying to think of what joke I'm going to tell next, and they're just like, what do I tell? Like, because especially for people who are doing like stand-up comedy, like you 50, 60-year-old Chinese people don't know what stand-up comedy is. So it's like, it's not even saying like, this is a different career. It's like, you don't even know what I'm doing. Like, they're like standing up like, 脱口秀, like, 脱什么呢? But was that a challenge in actually coming to Hollywood and being a makeup person, or were they accepting?
It was. And as I got older in life, my mother told me it was really more so because she just wanted me to be stable.
Sure.
And I didn't realize that when I was younger. I was just like, I don't
You're
like this. I just don't like this. Like, I got my degree in healthcare administration. I was working at UCLA Hospital. I was, doing the 40-year plan. And it was just like, I hate coming here. And like, I would tell people that, and they were just like, well, nobody likes going to their job. And I'm like,
well, that's wrong.
Well, that's not. That's not good either. Like, is that supposed to make me stay?
Yeah.
Like, we're all miserable.
I feel like that's one of the things that I liked about living abroad was like, you get to see a lot of different options, and like you see that like, okay, well, everybody's parents are kind of on their kids in different ways.
Yeah.
But the things they're on them about are like very different.
Yeah.
And so the parents are all trying, I think, in their own way to make sure that their kids have a good life. But of course, they grew up in a different environment than we grew up in. And
so all they know is go to school and that'll make you successful. And I tried that, and I think that's what made her kind of come around quicker and be more open to it, because it's like, she did go to college, she did try to do the thing.
And you can always, and that's always something you can go back to if it's good to have some stability. Even you can be more unstable in trying creative, artistic things. Definitely. If you know that like, but if it fails, I have something, you know.
Exactly. And so she's really a big reason why I was able to become a makeup artist, because after a while, I think she just realized, like, this girl's not letting up on this. Like, she really wants to do this. I would take clients before work, on my lunch break, after work. Like, wow. I was not playing around. So you
would be like at a hospital, and then people would come and you'd like do their makeup, and then, or you'd go and do makeup.
No, like I would like, yeah.
I was like, how does this gonna work easy for you?
I would like take like a 2-hour lunch break.
Yeah.
But like everything is about finesse.
Yeah, everything's about finesse.
Everything is about finesse.
Like, what's your quick guides to finesse of leaving your day job to be a makeup person? How do you pull it off?
How do you make every excuse that you can? People are more inclined to believe you if you are very like serious about what you're saying. You know what I mean? I would just be like, I had a really hard time in the bathroom. I was in there for 45 minutes. I'm sorry.
And then just
like, what are you gonna say?
What are you gonna say?
What are you gonna say? We're gonna be like, you weren't having diarrhea? Yeah. Like, I was. Like, and I would take it there. Like, I didn't care. Like, you can't be afraid to go too far. That's I like that. I like that. That's the put that on a plaque. You can't be afraid to go too far. You can't.
Well, because that's the thing is, I think people. I like the genius of that is not only going super hard to the mat immediately, but with a really boring excuse. Like, that's what makes it work. If you're like, no, I'm getting into like, fixing motorcycles, and like, I just couldn't leave until the oil stopped changing. People are like, what? But if you're just like, I got the shits. What do you want?
What do you want?
What you gonna do?
And I'll do it every week. I'll do it every week once a week.
Like, this is the 3rd time today. Well, that's how the intestines work.
Well, I'm going to see Dr. So-and-so later about it.
Yeah,
but
exactly. Until then. Yeah,
so
make any excuse you can.
Any excuse you can.
And so a combination of good makeup and good excuses led you to slowly getting more and more gigs, and then And
I
then,
actually got fired.
Oh, you got fired.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay. So, to be clear, I should have maybe said in the beginning, I was like, what advice do you have, but with the hope of keeping the job?
I have no idea.
No idea. Okay. So,
I got fired.
So you got fired, and then was that a moment where you're like, this is a confirmation that I've been doing the right thing? Or
no, because the human thing to do is to look at yourself and be like, why me?
Yeah.
Right? And so I was crying. They fired me. And my boyfriend at the time, I called him crying, and he's like, after 5 minutes of listening to me, he was like, what are you crying for?
Yeah.
And I was like, I lost my job. And he's like, you hate
You
going
hate
there.
your job.
You don't go on time. You leave for 2 hours sometimes in the day. You take smoke breaks at a hospital. Like,
he's like, I don't know how I'm going to break this to you, but you were really bad at what you did, and maybe it's a good thing you're not helping those people heal.
And just to be clear, I was an administrator. I was not a clinician or of any kind. So,
but the point remains though. Like, this is one of those things. I feel like I feel like I'm really lucky to have been kind of a gig person from the beginning, because I feel like anything that you put more of your time into, if you fail at it, or you have like people saying like, no, you can't do this anymore, you just feel like negated.
Exactly.
It feels horrible because of all the time you put into it.
Exactly. Even if you took 2-hour breaks, you still put in a good 6 hours.
Yeah, exactly. And mentally, it's hard to make that leap from like, I spent 8 hours on this, but it's not 8 hours of my mental.
Yeah, it's nothing that I wanted to really do or put my time into. So when I got off the phone with him, he was like, well, why don't you just take, it was summertime. He was like, why don't you just take the summer, like try to really go at this makeup thing. And then if the fall comes and it's not working out, try to get another job. And all I heard was that he was going to pay my rent.
Yeah. And you're like, yes, I like this.
I was like,
this is good communication. There are meanings within meanings. I heard you, but in a way you don't even know. I really heard you. I heard
and
you.
I thank you.
And I thank you. So
I did that,
you're good on that. And that, what was it like in your first days as like full makeup person?
It was terrifying because being a makeup artist, you don't, especially when you're in Los Angeles and you're trying to, everybody's telling me how there's already a million makeup artists here. And, like, I don't know if that was supposed to encourage me or because it made me feel really bad. But I just had to know that I had to think about that same kid back in the day that grew up in that school, that all the odds were against her, and she still managed to do amazing things. And I thought, okay, those people are not me. I'm amazing, and I'm gonna do this. If there's one more spot left for all the LA makeup artists in the world, then I'll take that last spot. And I think that's what I did.
Yeah. Well, hopefully more than the last spot at this point. But you were thinking like, this is a weird thing where people are like, there's so many comedians in LA or whatever. I'm like, that's not good. That's like, I mean, you want some so that you don't feel like you're the only guy. But like, I don't want to compete against a million people. Or even like sometimes people would be like, oh, there's a lot of Asian content now. Like, you do stuff with Asian culture. I'm like, I don't know if that's a good thing, because like they're not looking for me to be bringing the next wave of Asian content, even though we literally are bringing the next wave of Asian content right now. Cheers.
Look at us.
Cheers. But yeah, so you started getting into these things, and like what's kind of like the average day like if you're on a shoot or like doing a show?
So if you're doing a show, so I did the Reel.
What's a specific show you work on?
Yeah, so I did the Reel, which is a daytime talk show, and a typical day would be getting to set at 5 a.m.
5 a.m.
5 a.m.
Getting to the set.
To the set at 5 a.m.
Oh my God. No traffic.
No traffic.
LA.
And here's the funny thing. Like when I used to have to work 9 to 5, I would get there at 9:30 and take a breakfast break.
Yeah.
Now I go to set and it's like I'm there 15 minutes before. I want to check in with the lighting people. I want to check in with the the camera guy. What's our angle?
It's amazing how different you act when you care.
Yes.
Like, it's just in general, like it's one of the things where like a lot of times people are like, oh, like how am I gonna make it? Like they're like, I want to do like media, but I don't want to do these hashtags and blah blah blah. And I'm like, if you really care about the thing you're doing, you will kind of do that work.
Yeah.
If you don't care about it, that's also. It doesn't mean you like have to give up on the dream. It just means like don't don't bash your head against a wall you don't want to even get
exactly
through,
exactly.
So you're there now, you're early, so you're there before 5.
I'm there before 5.
Have you seen the Simpsons episode? They try to wake up Bart. They're like, you're gonna have to be up at 5 in the morning, and Bart's like, there's a 5 in the morning.
Don't we usually sleep through that?
Yeah, like what? I never even. So you're there early.
The talent comes. They usually like check in with producers and stuff like that. Each host had their own makeup artist, where we'd be there all day. We have about like an hour and a half for hair and makeup, and then we would shoot 3 shows in one day. And they would film, like the 3 shows would come out that same week. And then there'd be like a month where we did like shows for like April and like November. It was weird.
Okay, so you'd be like, in order to give yourself a break later, you'll do more shows now.
We would do more shows now. And so we'd only film 3 times a week, which was actually really nice. There's a lot of other, unlike most productions, like if you think of like Superman and stuff like that, those people are on set for like maybe 2 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And they go 6 days a week.
They go whenever they're needed.
Yeah, and they do 12-hour days.
That's nuts.
And so yeah, it's crazy. So I was really blessed to like live in that kind of sweet spot of like not having to be there all the time. But I have worked on TV shows where, we'll film for 2 months and we travel, we'll go to Boston, we'll go all different kind of places. I'm not somebody who likes to stay in one place, even when it comes to makeup, and which I learned about myself. I thought as soon as I got into makeup, like all my worries would be behind me and I would love every day, and then I would get to certain jobs and I'm like, I don't really like this. Like,
well, it's good to be able to see, because I mean, I definitely, again, I also didn't have like family and entertainment or anything like that. So to me, it's like, well, if you work on a show, you work on a show, but there's many different types of shows.
Exactly.
Some, like, one of the things that like the Daily Show, I have a lot of respect for those people, because it's like every day, you have to come in that day and pull it off by that evening, and you have to do that because it's kind of like a news show, almost with the intensity of a news program. It's just so like the actual being in that show is so different from, say, writing a sketch show, where it's like all scripts until you shoot, and then you're all shooting until it's over. But it's like, it's a very different experience day to day.
Exactly. My first Fratter Day.
Yeah.
I didn't even
Fratter Day?
Fratter Day. That's
what
a word.
Is that word?
Oh, doesn't that sound scary?
Oh, what does Fratter Day mean?
It doesn't sound good at all. And they were like, I was on set and they were like, yeah, tomorrow's our first Fratter Day. And I'm like, Fratter Day.
You thought it was like a frat party?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be fun. Friday and Saturday put together. I thought that was going to be fun. No, it's when you go in at 10 p.m. and you come out at 10 a.m. and then you go back at 10 p.m. and come out at 10 a.m.
Oh my God. You go in at night and you come out in the day. So it's, you overnight hard and then do it again the next night. Is that right?
Yes.
Why? What? Like,
because they have to get nighttime shots, and they can't, if you try to start at 6 p.m., it's like you will be there for 12 hours and you want to get like the most of the night.
Yeah.
So they have you start at like 10 p.m.
It's funny, like everybody, like there was all this like big union fight, but like nobody thought to blame the sun. Like really this all comes down to like, the sun is slacking off.
Yeah, and it's like you were just on set the day before for 12 hours during the day. So it's like you just feel crazy because you can't
should be like,
sleep
we're moving this whole set to Finland where we have 22 hours of
Alaska,
sunlight.
Something.
Yeah, like, we're like, we're in Antarctica in the winter.
And it's fun at first because you get there at 10 p.m. Everyone's all like, yay, 10 p.m.
I bet it's the fun the first time.
Everyone's well rested, because they slept all day. And then like 2 a.m. comes around. And then you start seeing less people.
They start
because people are trying. Yeah,
they're like wax statues that are just.
And the coldest part of the day is the middle of the night.
Yeah.
The coldest part of the day is the middle of the night. So then it's freezing now out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like.
Crazy.
And I'm a sleeper. I love to sleep. I sleep 8 hours a day.
So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that?
I don't.
You just don't do that.
I just don't do that. You have to know where you are celebrated and where you're going to prosper, and that's not a place that I will. I will go to sleep.
Well, that's a really good point. I mean, yeah, and then you don't want to be in that situation where like, they're like, "Why were you asleep in there?" And you're like, "No, I'm having stomach problems." Now we're back to the excuses.
And that would fly again, but yeah.
I really feel like if nothing else, I've learned a little bit about how to make like really good excuses.
Go for the gusto.
Yeah, go for the 45. Well, it's actually funny because in China, for whatever reason, like diarrhea is okay to talk about.
Oh,
They like don't have the same taboo against it.
Oh,
so
really?
like I would be
Damn,
in.
that might not do as well over there.
Yeah.
They'll be like, and?
Yeah, I remember this in my Chinese.
Drink a tea.
My first Chinese lessons when I was living in Beijing, I left the classroom for 20 minutes because I really had stomach problems. I had just gotten to China. I'd been eating spicy food. And then I went back to the teacher and she was like, "Oh, are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh, I was in the bathroom. My stomach is uncomfortable." She's like, "Oh, you got the shits?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "La douze ma." I'm like, yeah, that's what happens. Make sure, like, that's fine. Like, go ahead, Like, it happens to everyone. I'm like, that's, I don't know, weird. It's like, it's just a totally, like, it's in textbooks and stuff.
Yeah.
It'll be like, "Hello, Susie, where were you? I had the shits." Like, oh.
But thank God it's taboo in America. So.
They also believe that eating raw vegetables makes your stomach upset.
It does.
Does it?
It does.
All right. So then we have
especially spinach. And kale.
Our Chinese sound tech just turned around and she's like, "Oh, what did they say? Is it not?"
Kale.
Kale
will do it. If you want to go,
it
may not be easy. You might be sweating.
Easy. Might be. Well, I mean, nothing good in life is easy. I think that's what we've learned. So okay. So you're on a set. So you let's say you're on this set. You work on the hosts. What are the talent like? Because what sort of people have you worked with? What are like the sort of clients that you've been working
so I have actresses. I mean, I've had all kind of clients. I've been really blessed to like be in so many different areas working with makeup. You'd be surprised where it will take you. Everybody needs makeup. Male, female, children, infants, sometimes animals.
Infants. Is that like a specialty? Animals.
Touch them up.
Really?
Fluff the hair.
You ever see it?
There's not somebody on set to fluff that dog up.
Oh yeah. There's a dog fluffer. Oh my God. This is like, it sounds like a joke in the beginning, but like,
it's not.
They have like 4 different combs, like, just in case, like,
just to keep it fluffy.
Yeah, just to keep it up. Like, this isn't Little League, people.
Come on.
This is Air Bud 3.
Yeah,
there's a lot of money running on this.
I've done like Nike ads with athletes. I've done actresses. I've done business people. The weed companies.
The weed companies need that makeup.
The weed companies need the makeup.
They need the makeup.
Everybody's got to look good.
Is there a way to get like not red eye?
Yes, I'm doing it right now. Lumify drops.
What is it?
Lumify drops. Yeah.
Lumify drops.
So they make you see how my eyes are super white?
Yeah.
It's not because I'm healthy.
Oh my God.
So everything that you think is like there already or they just came like that, no. There's something behind it
does that like lead you to like now look at like life and be like everything is artifice?
Yes.
Or it does.
Yes, and that actually is calming.
Oh, how so?
Because I know that it's not real.
Interesting. Because it's almost like if you watched a movie and there was like a fight scene and you actually thought it was real, it'd be terrifying. But the moment it's not real, now it's like, oh, that's cool. That's fun.
I used to hate watching horror movies. Like I would scream, I would jump. Now I'm like laughing and I'm like, ooh, prosthetics did that one. I'm like, it's so different now. So actually for me, I feel like anything though, I was reading this book and it was like, anything in life, you can take it, you can see the good, you can see the bad, but there's always 2 sides to it. So I try in my life to always not be positive, but always find the solution or the bright side of it. But I don't want to say bright side because I don't want you to make you think that it has to be happy.
Going back to the artifice, like, if it makes you feel better to know that it's not real, so to speak. Does that then kind of like, does that open up your mind in terms of what you can do with the makeup then?
Yes.
Once you lose this idea that like, oh, I have to, almost like in the early, you remember the early like oil paintings are like, we want to draw the person exactly as they are.
Yeah.
And then as the artist got older, they're like, that's boring.
Yes.
I want to do anything else.
Here's the thing, like when you see somebody like a movie star or something like that, you think of them as a movie star because of how they look, because it looks unattainable, actually. You don't think like that, but that's really what it is. You know what I mean? You need $2,000.
Something about that person is different.
Exactly.
And then
that's what makes you think of them as, that's also part of it.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing somebody's makeup, I want them to look like nobody or nothing that you've ever seen before. They should look like they spent 2 hours in a chair and, you know, had all this stuff done. Like, that's kind of what makes it more fun for me.
So in your mind, it's not actually like the unattainability is not inherently a problem. You just need to make sure that people know, like, that's not real life. Like, this is where we're on a show. This is fun. Or this person's whole career is. It's almost like athletes. It's like, I don't expect that I'm going to look like an athlete. Because I'm not an athlete.
Well, you shouldn't.
I shouldn't. But like, imagine if you like saw like, you know, if men saw like athletes on TV and they're like, why don't I look like that?
Yeah.
Well, they did a lot of work, you know. For makeup and that sort of thing, or fashion in general, I suppose it's the same sort of thing. It's like the people put a lot of time and energy into looking that way. Do you feel like there's a conflict like that needs to be expressly stated? Or because I feel like a lot of times people are like, yeah, well, young people may not know that.
Well, here's the thing. I think the change in the industry where, I mean, we're older, so I feel like back in our day, celebrities and movie stars were something that it was already like, that's part of a different world. That's not our world. That's their world. And we go to the movies to see them, and we go
separated.
to...
But now on the internet,
but
it's
now
not like that
everything
at all.
is together. So now you do feel like you want to look like Brad Pitt, and you do, and you feel like,
or even more than that, like, you know, for makeup accounts, like it's usually like regular people.
Yeah.
It's like the video might be somebody in a room that looks like it could be your room, and then they're doing this makeup and they look great.
Yeah.
I don't know why I get so many makeup videos sent to me. I've never purchased makeup and I don't have any makeup on. I was gonna say, I was like, is it inappropriate to invite the guest on to be like a makeup guest on and then ask if she would like do makeup for me beforehand? If people think that this is something like, oh, if I just had that skill or if I just had that product, I can be that person.
Yeah.
Is it starting to blur?
It's already blurred because you could have the product. I could give it to you. Here's the bag. It has all this stuff in it, but you're still not going to know what to do. And I think as artists, like that's just where we feel a little like infringed on because we are artists. It's not just that I have all the products and stuff like that. I wasn't even doing good makeup when I first started. Like I would cry because it was so bad. And I was like, I just want to be good. Why can't I do good makeup? Because it comes with time. It comes with learning. It comes with failing. It comes with trying the black eyeshadow and it falling all over the face and then you having to fix it and all this kind of stuff. That's where it comes into. So people thinking that they can just go to the store and pick it up and it's going to do what it's going to do. It
doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that. And but at the same time, because I came from a background of just playing with makeup, it's like I do get it. Like you do want to have fun with it. I just think the expectations are too high now. Like before you could just put the makeup on, you would do your own thing. Now there's this, you have to look like this or you have to look like that. And that's not even how I grew up with makeup. I just put it on and however I looked.
Do you feel like nowadays, like young people are almost under more pressure because they don't have that freedom to explore?
Yeah.
Because like it's, you know.
Yeah, and it's almost like sad because you don't get to just make those mistakes anymore and just do the goofy thing. Like if it's not perfect now and it doesn't look like what it looks like on Instagram or any of those social platforms, it's like it's not good.
Yeah. Also, a lot of that stuff can even be digitally retouched afterwards. So like I'm sure that's a thing. You know, like you put a little bit of red on there and you just want to, well, now it's perfect.
Now it's perfect.
Now it's perfect. So there's really more of like improvements in photo editing than
anything else. Yeah, but I just feel like, you know, the beauty of being a kid was that we didn't care how we looked. Like I can't remember a kid growing up that was like, oh, how does my hair look? Or we were just outside. We were just out in the woods and playing. And I just think, you know, the expectations of what one looks like, especially at that awkward time in life where you're growing, you don't even have all your teeth yet, and it's just like
it's interesting.
Let's just leave it out, you know.
Yeah, it's a hard time.
You are.
I mean, I've thought about this a lot, especially as somebody now that makes more stuff on the internet, because you don't know who's going to be seeing your stuff. So it could be, somebody in their 60s. They could be 8.
Yeah.
You know, and the. I don't ever want to give the impression that like, oh, tea is like unattainable, like, you know, or even like you have to have the tea set up because there are many ways of making tea.
Yes.
But at the same time, in order to attract people to the cool stuff, you know, you don't want to just do like bad tea.
Yeah.
You want to make good tea.
And I think with you, what's so great, I remember when I met you, it was your passion for tea. You know, I don't think you grew up on a tea thing, but when you learned about it, then it became because there's so much to learn about it. Like even you just telling me how you lay the jasmine on top. I mean, if you told somebody that, I bet you they wouldn't go back to Lipton.
Yeah, I think it's also, that's true. I mean, believe me, Lipton now. I have somewhere in the house, there are Lipton tea bags that I use for demonstration purposes, but I'm not telling you where they are. And we don't talk about them. We don't talk about the Lipton. Okay. How are we doing on time? Are we almost at 30 minutes? We're at 30. Okay, so let's call the first half there. Last thoughts on the Jasmine.
It's so calming. I don't know if it's talking to you or like is there something in here?
Yeah, there's something in here. Like the second half, like cut to just out. No, it's the what they call in Chinese. They call cha qi, the tea energy. Cha is tea, qi is energy. So it's like. That includes like literal chemicals like caffeine or whatever, but each tea has a different tea energy. So even a different type of jasmine will do different things to you than
like
this one.
My shoulders feel really like relaxed.
Yeah, it is a very calming and a very easy drinking tea. So I'm glad that you enjoyed this one. We're going to be right back in a moment. We're going to try another tea. Julie, Jules, Jesse. See you guys soon. Hey there, I'm from one of those online mattress companies. Apparently, people who listen to podcasts have an insatiable desire for mattresses, like can't get enough, fairy tale shit or something like that. The problem with most mattresses, though, is they make lousy tea. Just ask this guy who's not a paid shill. Well, I tried drinking my mattress, and it was pretty bad. I mean, first, I just put my lips on it and started sucking, but that didn't really work. Then I poured hot water on it, but that just made it wet and hot. Also, my girlfriend was like, it's 4 a.m., what are you doing? She's always like that. The problem would be solved if instead of a mattress, you were drinking Jesse's Tea House teas. Jesse gets teas straight from small tea shops and tea farmers in China and puts them into his subscription service. Just use the code JessePod for $10 off your first order of $30 and stop trying to drink your mattress. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tea Time with Jesse. I'm your host, Jesse. And we're here with Julie Jules, who is a makeup artist, 2-time Emmy winner, and just recently finished doing makeup for The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Yes, is that right? So
that is right.
What is it like being makeup artist to one of the housewives? Who were you doing
I work
makeup
with
for?
Garcelle Beauvais. She's amazing. She just joined the franchise not too long. I think it's like her 4th season.
Oh, wow.
So in the world of housewives, they have like what they call OGs, which is like women that have been there like 10, 12 years. So it's really like a big deal when a new housewife comes. And she happened to be the first Black housewife for Beverly Hills as well. So it was a pretty big deal when she came on. And yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Well, I'm going to be interested in hearing more about the crazy, but before we start, I want to start with our second tea.
I'm excited.
This is a 2010 cooked Pu-erh tea. So this is tea that was from ancient tea trees in Yunnan, China. Pu-erh tea that has been post-fermented, so it's very dark, and it's packed into this tea cake. You can see here.
Wow.
So the actual tea cake itself is this sort of
tea cake. I love that.
It's a disc. It's actually the same one as the one behind you over there.
Oh, and you just keep them displayed like that.
Yeah, so they age. So this is a thing. So you put them on display, they age, and then over time you can come back and either a lot of people in China will buy multiple cakes, so they can be aging some of them, have one for a gift, but then also be drinking one of them at any given time.
Wow, that's so beautiful.
So this is cool. So this is 2010. So that's 13 years age now, as of the current filming. And I basically tear off a little bit. There is a little knife that you can use, but this is actually packed so loosely that you can easily tear it off with your hands. And this is a cooked Pu-erh, so it's very good for your digestion.
Love that.
And it's a very, very dark, very earthy. In the West, what Americans call black tea, the Chinese call red tea. So, and what the Chinese call black tea is this, and it's very hard to find.
I love black tea, but I probably love the other one.
You love the other one, but this is kind of even more black tea than black tea, so this will be cool. So we're gonna make the tea, you'll see instantly, basically, it's already very dark. This one, we are going to do a wash steep, so this first steep is poured into the pitcher. And then what we get out of this first steep is the fragrance. So you can smell the fragrance from there.
Oh, wow.
This is really nice. So that's one person told me they said the fragrance smells like a library.
Or fish.
So this first steep we put into the cups, and then we actually dump it on our tea pets.
Oh, yay.
So you can pick. We have the puffer fish and a tiger here.
I'll do the tiger.
Okay, I'll do the puffer fish.
I think I'm a Leo rising.
There we go.
Ooh, that was hot.
Yeah, a little hot.
Woo!
You smell the cup as well. Very pretty. Very nice. So the
Do you have the puffer fish because it's like a delicacy there?
no, I mean the tea pets they originated as like extra cast off pieces of clay. Like potters would have extra clay and they would throw them in the kiln, and why not put it into an animal? And so generally the idea of the tea pet is that whatever attributes the animal has, you gain by pouring the tea over it. So if it's a tiger, you get strength and wisdom or whatever tigers are known for. And as a pufferfish, I guess I get like battered around by dolphins wanting to get high. I don't know what I just got there, karma-wise, but check out how dark it is.
Oh, that's amazing.
But it's the really good tea quality. You can tell because it's dark but also clear. So it's not like muddy. It's just dark. Which is nice. So here we go.
And there's like a specific time of day you drink this kind of tea?
So all of these teas will have caffeine in it. This one has less than others. So if you were going to drink tea leaf tea at night, this would be a good choice. But the first wash also washes out some of the caffeine. So if you were to drink it at night, it would be a good choice. But generally, because it has caffeine, I don't usually drink tea after like 5 p.m. or anything like that.
Okay.
So cheers. Here we go. See how you like the 2010 cooked Pu-erh. It has a little bit of a different flavor.
How are you drinking that?
We're back to the hot.
This one's even hotter than the last one.
You let it cool down a bit. We're in no rush. This is one though that you want to do at 100 degrees boiling temperature because you'll get more flavor out of it. But it's got a very kind of rich, earthy flavor. Once you can drink it.
once you can sip it.
No rush.
So. And then I also asked you. I remember, like, you don't add anything to your teas. Like, you don't add honey or.
Usually, you don't because the idea behind the whole Gongfu tea aesthetic is kind of like, do what you're doing well. So if we're gonna drink tea today, let's get good tea, and let's make the good tea in a good way. And generally, while there are exceptions, usually like local areas, like there are local areas that grow oranges, and so they'll put dried orange peel in the tea or something like that. But it's not like here where like the whole like blending culture came about because tea was very expensive and honestly not that good. So because it's very expensive and not that good, we might as well cut it with other stuff. And we might as well add other fragrances or stuff to cover up the fact that in the 1800s that tea came over on a ship. It was there for 4 months going bad while it was coming over the ocean. And so by the time it got to the West, it didn't have the fresh like boom flavor that you get out of some of these. Also, the Westerners didn't take the technique of how to make the tea. They just took the tea. So you'll notice I use more tea here than is in a tea bag. For sure. So you have more tea and less water, so the flavor is much stronger than your normal tea bag stuff.
Wow. You learn something new every day.
There's a lot to it. I could go on forever, but and I have. And that's actually what this channel is. It's me just literally going on forever. Anyway, back to the housewives.
Yes.
So you were doing makeup for one of the housewives, and what were they like? Like, what's it like working every day, day in and day out with celebrities on a show getting their makeup done?
It's fun because, I mean, at least for me, because I get to I'm like, ooh, what am I going to do today? Like, they have to, it's for TV. So they have to do these, you want to do standout looks. Stuff, you want to do, eye stopping, eye popping looks.
It's not like if you're on like a news program, they might want you to look just proper.
Exactly.
But not the housewives.
Not the housewives. No, you definitely, this is your time to go for it and do the big look, and especially with Beverly Hills, they're always doing like themes and stuff like that. So I remember like one night they had like a 70s night. So, we put a big afro on her and stuff like that. They had like they had a Chinese New Year party one time, and we did one of the ladies had this like sick crown on with like, and her face paint was almost like geisha.
Oh wow.
But like, it's toned down. But it was still like, it's just fun. It's fun. You get to do more than the average.
It's almost like you're a contestant on the show. Or like if they're like, all right, today you're doing a 70s party, that's really you. It's like,
Thank
it's
you.
like,
I'm glad somebody recognizes.
I mean, there's value in being a model, but like, if you don't come up with that look, then they're not going to have it.
And that's what's so great about Garcelle. Like, she knows that it's a team effort. Like, and even with the hairstylist, I'm like, okay, well, what are you doing? Because depending on what she's doing, that's going to, come into where I am in my makeup world.
Together.
Right. If she's going to do a bang and a long wig, there's no need for me to be doing a wing liner. It's going to be cut off. No one's going to see it. So it's really a team effort. And when you have a client like that who understands that, it's so much more fun, because then you can just really you guys can all collaborate together and go big with it. It's a lot of fun.
Nice.
And with the show, we literally do film like 4 days a week. So we are doing her makeup sometimes like 4 or 5 times a week. And traveling.
And you have to like keep it up, like in the middle of the day. You might need
keep
to
it
add
up
some
in the
stuff.
middle of the day. Make sure they're doing the proper skincare afterwards, because makeup is fun, but you also just don't want to be going to sleep in that every night. You know?
So that's the other thing is like you have to take it all off. Like, do you feel like do some like actors or actresses like kind of fight the makeup and they're like, I don't want to be doing this, just sitting in this chair for an hour and a half? Or
you definitely have some people like that, but luckily Garcelle specifically, she's a glam girl. Like she likes it. She likes to get glam. She likes to sit in the chair and she's like, what are we doing? So that's when it's fun. But I definitely have had some, I call them ugly betties. Yeah,
ugly betties. So what are the what's kind of like a makeup horror story? Do you have a horror story or like a really bad gig that you had to deal with?
I feel like, and my mom is always like, you can't think like that, Julie. And I'm like,
you're like, no, I can think like that.
I can think like that.
I won't say anything, but I can think like that.
I just think like, I've literally put the last almost 10 years into just learning makeup, learning techniques, failing, having successful moments.
Yeah.
And you're going to be pretty hard pressed to tell me that, you know more than I do.
Yeah.
Now, what you may know is you.
Yeah.
So you may know your face
My
and
style
what you
like
and I'm open to that, right? Like, it's a collaboration. So if you tell me like, oh, I hate black eyeshadow, I'm not about to go put black eyeshadow on you. Now, after that, leave Picasso to his work.
You're like this is why you hired me.
I'm sure nobody was tapping him on the shoulder like, I don't like that angel. I'm like,
it's like the guy who's like told Mozart like, too many notes, take out some of the notes. And
we don't hear about him anymore, do we?
No, we don't.
We only know Mozart.
Yeah, exactly. So so here's a question of like, let's say that you have a client who's like, why don't you do X? Like, how many out of 10 do you think are just like actually good ideas, and how many are not good ideas if they think they are bringing something to the table?
I have brought the table. I brought the chairs.
Yeah.
I brought the tablecloth. I brought everything. Yeah.
So,
my mom says that I should be open and hear them out. And
you're like, no.
And really,
Mom was like, you should suffer ignorant people. And you're like, no.
And she has a point. She has a point, right? Because going back to like what I said earlier, it's all about how you think about things, right? So she's like, if the girl wants you to use this lipstick, turn around, put the lipstick here, and then put the one you want, and then put it on. You know what I mean?
So these are where you got your excuses from. I'm hearing like a notice. I'm like, that's like some dastardly stuff.
She's like, she's not saying to use her stuff.
No, she's
saying,
like, you need to like pretend to respect people. You don't need to respect people, but you need to pretend. They need to think you are. And if you can't get all the way there, fake it.
That's the only way to get through to me, though. So I think that's just how she's learned to deal with me. She's like, I'm not going to get her to stop.
Yeah.
Let me just get her around the way.
Figure out a practical solution to this.
Exactly. And I could do that, but I'm a tourist. So it's hard, but I'm working on it. But yeah, I'm always open to, like I said, what people like. Because I don't know your face better than you. You wake up with it every day, go to sleep with it. Like, you know what you like. I'm just here to enhance that and use my professionalism and my artistic ability to take it to the next level.
Nice. So what's a look that you did that you were really proud of?
Ooh. I would say The last reunion we did for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, I really loved the look I did. And it may sound like really trivial, but those days are really hectic and crazy. Those are like 18-hour days. We shoot everything in one day, and they'll make like a 4-part series on it. So you need to make sure that makeup is going to last. They're going to be crying. They're going to be laughing. They're going to be making like all these ugly faces at some point. And you need to make sure that it looks amazing and flawless. And you never know which angle is going to be used or so anything. Every angle better hit, honey. Yeah. And then you have the whole world critiquing it afterwards. So I really loved that look. It was just it was fun. It was age appropriate. How did you describe it? What was it? We did she wore this like all black outfit. So I did like this kind of like red toned, sparkly eye, but really it was the skin. And I know people will always, when they think of makeup, they think of eyes, but it's really the face more than anything that you're really looking at. It turns out people are always looking at your face. Like whether it's like, but this is like there can be like you're like, oh, let's get these details right. But really they're trying to take in the whole thing. You need the whole head. The whole head is always there. And so I really love the way I did her skin, and it was so good. It was just so good. And so what makes it good? Because I'm again, if you haven't noticed from the previous conversation, I'm a total makeup novice. I don't know anything. My brother asked the same thing. Yeah. He's like, so what makes it good? What makes it good? What makes it good? What makes it bad? It's hard. Like if you know, it's like one of those things. Like you look at somebody and you think they look great. That's pretty good. But in the makeup world, it's also like, okay, where is that blush placement? How is that under eye concealer looking? Is it looking cakey? Is it looking dry? Like, is the lipstick, does it match her tone? Like, people are looking at all of that. And so... Do you feel like some people also just like wear it better? Like, cause like with like clothing, like you could get very fashionable clothing for somebody, but if they're just not comfortable in it, they don't look good. You have to find a better artist. You have to find a better artist. Yeah, because you're saying if they don't look good, it's like they didn't get the right help, and they're like okay, I'm saying that. I'm like, we should have a show where it's just like you write down a list of like shade you want to like throw at people, but can't say yourself, and then I just say it, and I'm like, I'm not in your industry, like I just said these things. Because anybody, I mean, you could take somebody, and we've all seen it. We've all seen before and afters, right? Like before people had money, and then when they get some money, like, and they look totally different. Yeah. Because they're paying the right person to make sure. There's always a solution to every problem. So you got acne, there's a way we can make that disappear. You got this, but you have to have the right person who knows all those ins and outs. Also, I like what you said about one of the reasons you were proud of it was because you were up for 18 hours doing this long show. But it really does make a difference. Like I did a TV show in China once where I was doing stand-up, and because it just took so long to get the shots done, I was performing at 2 a.m. Yeah. And the people in the audience, half of the audience was gone, and the half that was there was up at 2 a.m. and had been sitting there, and then all of a sudden they're just like, and now this guy. And then I'm like, hey, everybody, like this is not natural at all. And so sometimes people would be like, oh, but like the audience doesn't know that. And so like on that episode, the audience reaction was clearly not as good as the previous episode where the audience was full and we recorded at like 11. Yeah. And so, but like you can't like, and then afterwards, because it's kind of reality show, they have you in the back and they're like, why don't you think it was as good this time? And I'm like, well, it's 2 a.m. The audience is half good. Everybody's exhausted. But like, it's not fun to hear that. Yeah. Like the TV people don't want that to be part of the story, but for the artist, it is part of the story. And so if you can make that look amazing for 18 hours after crying, after doing all these, facial expressions, like I was just like, wow. You're like, I did that. I did a good one. I did a good one. And I'm not the best artist. Like I know there's artists out there who remember exactly what they did. I'm not one of them. You're kind of in improv mode. Exactly, which like is helpful and not, because then the next time I'm like, well, how the hell? How did I do that? Do what you did last time? No, not because I don't want to. Because I don't know. Dude, that would be terrifying if like, at least if I have a joke, I like have the joke. Although it is kind of weird, like sometimes you do a joke and like one day it works and the other day it doesn't, and you can try to figure out what it is, but sometimes it is mysterious. Sometimes you just need to do a whole new joke. Yeah, sometimes you're just like, it was funny and I'm not getting it back again, which kind of sucks. So continuing on, a couple other questions I want to ask you. So you won an Emmy. Two Emmys.
Not a Grammy. We talked about this before. We were talking before. You're like, your mom thinks you want a Grammy.
Every time my mom is telling somebody about, my award, she's like, she has 2 Grammys. And I'm like, they're not Grammys, mother.
Not Grammys, but 2 Emmys.
2 Emmys.
So what were the Emmys in, and what was it like winning an Emmy?
Oh, wow. So I got the 2 Emmys I have 2 daytime Emmys for working on The Real, which is a syndicated show. So you have daytime and nighttime, primetime Emmys. And the only difference is what time they air on TV.
And what if the show starts in the day, but by the time it airs, the sun has set? I don't know. Which is, I assume, how they make that differential. It's like
afternoon Emmys.
Yeah, it's 4:43. The sun is down, and
Actually, I think if it starts after 6.
It starts after 6.
It's considered prime time.
I'm really curious. Again, we brought it up before, but what about those countries way up north where it's light 22 hours of the year? It's just daytime Emmys. There's no nighttime entertainment. There is no night. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, winning I feel like it's not something that you can dream of, because it's something that really the stars and everything, the universe,
everything has to align.
Everything has to align, really. It's not something that...
It's not like, the best 5 people get nominated and then the best person wins.
Right.
It's not that
It's not that at all. So it was nothing that I had ever dreamed about, just because I feel like it was a dream that was beyond dreaming. But to first be recognized, even to be nominated, I think is amazing, especially as an artist. There's not many places in the industry where we're highlighted. Not just makeup artists, hairstylists, the grip people, lighting, editing.
Are there grip awards?
Yes.
Really?
They have the grippies.
The grippies! Wow! Cut to this year's grippies.
I don't know if I said the name right, but they do. If it's not the grippies, they need to change it to the grippies. But they do have an awards show.
But it's like all this thing is a lot of times the if you do the work well, people are just like, that was a great show. But they don't realize the prop guy went to 15 different places to find that table.
Exactly.
And you may be able to tell this table doesn't quite fit with the vibe we're doing here, but I don't have a prop person who's winning Emmys, getting my table stuff.
So that was actually really exciting to learn that we all get recognized for those things. And then to be nominated and then to go. My first year actually was the pandemic, so I didn't go anywhere. I was sitting in this building when I won an Emmy. My mom was there with me, and I was actually taking a nap, and then somebody called me, another makeup artist, and she was like, "You won an Emmy," and I'm like,
"You're like, get in here," and you're like, "I am in the bathroom for 45 minutes with intestinal distress." And then you're like, "No, it's a good thing." And you're like, "Oh, what's going on?" Intestines are fine. So you were asleep.
Yeah, I was asleep. I had to wake my mom up, and I'm like, "I won an Emmy." And she's like, "What?" She's like, "What?" And I'm like, "I won." And she's like, "For real?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yes, for real." I'm like, "I won." She's like, "How do you know?" I'm like, "Girl, if you don't get on board,
how do you know?
Start cheering."
She's real doubtful. She's like,
And then she goes, "I knew you would win." I'm like, "Really?" Because I didn't feel like that when you woke up.
That's also true. The wake up reaction is the most honest reaction. You're like, "I won an Emmy." Like, what? I don't believe you.
Like, girl, the reason you're here.
Yeah. Like, she should have been like, "I believe in you." What? Oh, sorry. So that's weird. You wake up and you can't really hear for a little bit. Also.
I needed her on 10 immediately.
Exactly.
But the second year was really amazing because we were out of COVID. We were back in person. So I actually got to go to the Emmys. Wow. And it was way more nerve-wracking because they have you sitting with all the other people in your category.
Oh, is there a little tension there? You want to be like, I'm happy to be here.
It was crazy because I was fangirling for some of the people in my category. I'm like, these are artists that I've looked up to. Yeah. These are people that and I'm like, "Can I work with you one day?" And they're like, "Girl, you're in the same category as me." And I'm like, "I know, but I love you." I'm like, "You're so amazing. I love your work."
It's weird like that. It's like it's like you think you won't be a fangirl, but I was talking about this last week when I had met some of the comedians that would come over to China, the ones I really cared about, and I got a chance to talk to some of these people. And then I would go home and I'm like, I think I just rambled for 20 minutes in front of that person. I don't think they said anything. I don't remember them saying anything.
I think I was talking the whole time.
I think I was talking the whole time.
I think I hugged them really long,
yeah,
too.
And then, I do remember being restrained at some point, but...
I felt something on my shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. But like, it's, hey, and what is the time, if you're not going to do it then, when you can do it?
And she, like, especially one of the artists, I mean, her name is Jessica Smalls, and she, I mean, just as another, ethnic Black woman in the beauty industry, there's not many of us being highlighted, and I just feel like her career is just so amazing. So meeting her there was like, wow. And then even after I won, some people left the table.
Really? Didn't agree with the decision.
But she was still there. She was still there when I came back, and she was like, "Congratulations!" And
that's
she
classy.
She did a post after, and she was like, congratulating me on winning, and it was like, wow, like
nice.
That's
a moment.
That was really a moment, and just a true testament to just what kind of artist that she was. You know what I mean? And so
this is part of the thing. Is like, I feel like as you get better at something, you have fewer of those moments. Because when I was starting to learn Chinese, I remember like, oh, I can write a bunch of characters. I felt really proud. And then I was able to have like a basic conversation. I'm like, I had a basic conversation. I'm really proud. And every time you really feel, it's like, it is a real accomplishment. And then as you get better at stuff, you have to be like, I just wrote and produced a whole sketch in the language. Now I'm proud. But like, it's getting harder and harder.
Right. Now I need the Grammy, Mom.
Yeah, now you're like, now you got the Emmy. You're like, I need the Grammy.
Yeah, I need the goddamn Grammy.
So you had mentioned before about like, looking at other different ethnic people, Black people that were in beauty. What's the situation right now for Black people in beauty in the Hollywood scene?
I would like to go out on a limb and say it's better, because it is better, but I don't think we're anywhere near where we need to be. You still have people, and it's not the fight of because you're white you can't do it. It's more so you're white and you haven't had to do it. So I'm not blaming you.
Like what are the things that people haven't had to do?
You haven't had to work on Black skin. You haven't had to work on Black hair. You haven't had to, because for so long most of American television has been white people.
White people. Yeah, well, this is a big thing. In China,
like, I put my hands up. Don't shoot me.
No, I'm not. This is not. I don't think anyone's debating that.
That was bad.
This was one of the funny things about doing shows in China is that I would go into the makeup and you would see some of the makeup techs had clearly worked on white people before, but a lot of them had not.
Yeah.
Because it's all Chinese people.
Yeah.
So I would notice a big difference in quality between one makeup artist and another when they did my makeup. Of course, me knowing nothing about makeup, I said nothing this entire time. I didn't say anything. Also, it's a little tricky because it's for camera. You don't know exactly what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
It might look one way in the mirror, but then when you're under the lights and everything,
Right.
It actually looks different. So what suggestions would you have then to people who are, let's say that, whatever race you are, but just saying, I want to get practice on those other people.
Then get your practice. I mean, a lot of how I started was I was on Craigslist, which, I mean, I don't know how viable that is anymore, but I would literally, there would just, be models on there and they would want to work, or photographers on there and they'd want to work, and I would work for free.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what I was doing and I wasn't good. I shouldn't be charging anybody.
Also, I feel like, well, I don't know if I agree with that statement, because if you're putting your time and energy into it, it's like, sometimes people are too humble in saying about,
I was not good.
You were not good?
I was not good. It was
Let's
bad.
cut to the not good. No.
Like, it was just, I wouldn't want to, and if I was charging people $50.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like, I made sure the price matched the work, because it was not there.
But your point is, like, I actually, like, it sounds like a weird thing to say, but like, once you accept that you're going to work for free, everything gets a little bit better.
It does.
Because you're like, okay, now that I'm deciding that I'm going to be free, this is about me learning.
Exactly.
And if this opportunity doesn't help me learn, I'm not doing it.
Exactly.
Or like, either pay me money to do what I'm doing, or give me real opportunity to get better.
And I think it doesn't need to be this fight of, Black versus white, or whatever color it wants to be. Put the practice in, learn how to do it. I know how to do everybody's makeup. Why? Because I've taken the time to work on white people, Black people, Asian people. Like, and there's a difference to working on all those skin tones.
What's a way, how would you adjust, like, what technique would you change if you were, like, saying, versus, like, a white person versus, like, an Asian person?
So, okay, that's a great example, because people always want to do Black and white, but white to Asian is really a big difference, too. their eyes are going to tend to be more slanted. I can't do the same eyeshadow looks, and even if I do, as soon as they open their eyes, you won't see a thing.
It's going to be different.
So what you want to do is actually make the eye appear to be bigger. So you take the eyeshadow all the way up almost to their brows, and then when they open their eyes, you still see the look. You still get some of that look. Now, if you just approach it the same way you're going to do Susie's makeup, who has a big, large lid, and you put this glitter in her eye, it's not going to come out the same way.
Have you ever just like looked and said like these heavy-lidded white people? Like, have you ever just like has that sentence ever come out?
No, because it's for an artist, you want to be not challenged, but you want to be challenged with every kind of canvas.
Well, it's fun. It's fun to not just do the same thing every day.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So so you would get like practice by doing these like free gigs on Craigslist or whatever. And it is kind of an interesting thing because like you can get certain types of practice by doing your own makeup, I assume. But if you're doing it on somebody else, just from a technique standpoint, it's going to be different, right?
And it's so funny now because now, obviously, we talked about on the roof, I'm doing my own content on myself now, and I'm having the hardest time doing my own makeup. Because I don't really wear a ton of makeup. I'm always just, going, I'm on set, I'm doing someone else's makeup. So now when I do it on myself, I'm like,
I know.
Oh, shit.
Like, oh,
it took me like 20 minutes to put a lash on the other day. I was
really?
like, if anybody saw me,
they
would take my Emmys away.
You'd take the Emmys away.
Take them back.
You're like
because I'm out of practice.
Look at the Emmy. Look at the Emmy.
I'm out of practice. It takes practice in anything that you do. So I've lost practice with my face, and I'm working that muscle again. I'm doing my makeup more. I'm learning what I do like, what I don't like. All those things. I'm doing that whole process again now with myself. Nice. So there's definitely a difference between doing your own makeup and doing somebody else's makeup.
Very cool. So we're running out of time, unfortunately, but I have a couple last questions that I kind of want to do some like quick response to.
Yeah,
so maybe one
fire.
sentence, 2 sentence max, get into some of those topics. So first question is, what advice would you have for people who are looking to get into the makeup industry today?
Be confident in who you are. Be confident in what you want to do. I remember I met Mariah Carey's makeup artist at the airport really quickly. We had a talk, and the one thing I took away from him was he was like, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I work at UCLA and I do makeup on the side. And he's like, you're a makeup artist. Start telling people that so that they know that and they believe that, because you doing all this UCLA makeup artist thing, I don't know what you are, and I'm walking away from the conversation.
Make it easy for people to know who you are and what you do.
There you go.
That's a good one. What is if you had to say to somebody like me that has no makeup knowledge whatsoever, what are the basic things I should have for getting some sort of realistic makeup done?
Brushes, foundation, concealer, lipstick, setting powder.
Okay, this is already a lot. I asked this question being like, I'm really going to listen. And then after 3...
a great setting spray, and watch a good YouTube video. Luckily there's YouTube now.
That's true. So other than your own channel, which we'll talk about later, what are some places you go for inspiration for seeing new looks or getting
Honestly,
inspiration?
because there's so much out there now, I've actually gone back in time, and I'm back in books now. So I'm reading the Kevin Aquan book on makeup. I feel like sometimes to get what's going to be new and fresh, you got to go back. Yeah.
Well, that's totally true, because like the thing about the internet now, there's so much regurgitation of content. Like somebody makes a post on like, it's called tea if it goes by land and cha if it goes by sea, or the opposite. And somebody will make a post on that, and then everybody is making posts on that.
Yeah.
And then but if you go into a book, it turns out nobody actually goes back and reads books. You're like, it's all right there, but like, you
got to read.
It's like secret again. Gotta have, okay, so that's good. What's another sort of quick question? What was a moment that you kind of had to fight through in being a professional makeup artist?
One time I did this girl's makeup. I think I was doing it for free at this point, but she wanted a look that I did on somebody else. And like I told you, I don't remember what I did on the last person. So when she asked that, I was like, okay, cool, perfect. And it happened to be this really smoky eye with glitter on it. Like, I don't know what I was thinking that day when I did that. And I did it. And if anybody knows black eyeshadow, like it's just imagine black powder. It just, if it gets somewhere now it's smearing, it's doing everything. And that happened. And I took off all the makeup and I left.
I'm like, I'm gone.
I was like, she's like, is it bad? I'm like, it's not good. And I left. I know it's supposed to be quick.
Is there an industry term for if you just like dip? You're just like, I'm gone?
But I took her makeup off too. Like she didn't even see it.
Oh.
Because I was like, it looks so bad.
Yeah, that's so funny.
And I called my mom crying, and she was like, you're going to look back on this one day and laugh about it. And here we are laughing about it.
The other good thing about doing the work for free is people can't complain. It's like it is actually it's a bigger perk that people think.
You can take off the makeup and leave.
Yeah, exactly. You're just like I love this idea. Like the moment we're like, so she's gone. Like,
she
you mean
just
she
left?
took a break? Like no, she's gone. Like we will never see like gone. Never be in the same room with these people again. Anyway,
and I haven't been.
That's the good thing about being in LA. There's enough people that you don't need to be in the room with the same people every day. Unlike if your mom was doing a look for the people in her town,
And then I did that.
Yeah, I didn't do that. So last couple questions I'm thinking here. What kind of tea do they drink in Haiti? Do you know?
Oh, I haven't grown up drinking a tea. We make a great coffee, and it's kind of the same process. I can't remember the name of the thing that we use, but it's this long cloth and it has a ring around it, and you put the beans through there, and it seeps it out from this cloth thing. My mom's gonna kill me for not remembering the name. And it's the best coffee I've ever had. Like I don't if it's not that coffee,
You're not drinking it.
And we also make a hot chocolate from cocoa.
I'm in on that.
Yeah, and
I'm a big hot chocolate guy.
It's so good, and we eat it with the bread, and it's
sounds
it's
really good.
so good.
I gotta look up the Haitian hot chocolate.
Yes, and and make it the same way, and they put what's that clove thing that they put in there, and
Cloves?
it makes no, not cloves. It's like it looks like a star.
Star anise.
Yes.
Yeah.
They put that in there, and it gives it that little bitter. Yes.
Nice.
Yes. And there's no do we put sugar in there? No, I don't remember, but it's so good.
It's really good.
So good.
That sounds really great. Last thing, final things. So again, just sort of lightning round answers sort of thing. But what did I'm sorry, let's say this again. What did winning an Emmy actually do to change your life, and what did it not change?
It didn't change a damn thing. I woke up the next day, and I was just a girl with 2 Emmys now. Here's the thing. Winning an Emmy is great. Now, what do you do after that? Because it's not like you get a check. It's not Wheel of Fortune. I don't get the Emmy and $10,000.
Yeah.
I get the recognition. So you have to now work for that. You need to now put yourself out there and let people know that you have this going on, and put yourself on a platform that I'm this amazing person now because I have these 2 Emmys. Unless you're Zendaya.
It's kind of funny, like a lot. Yeah, unless you're Zendaya. Well, I think that would be true of a lot of things in life. The world works this way unless you're Zendaya. In which case, you're just in your own world. But I think it's kind of an interesting thing. I think people would imagine once you get that sort of validation from the outside that all of a sudden you don't need to be pushing yourself, but it's actually kind of the opposite.
It's most the opposite. You need to continue to push yourself. You need to actually now. You're kind of unattainable. So now you need to be at that level of unattainable because people here feel like she's too big.
Do you feel does that give you pressure? Do you feel like more pressure when you're on a gig now?
Yes.
Because people are
just
coming,
in life in general.
In general, how do you deal with that, or do you suffer?
I try. I suffer. I suffer, and then I have to remember that I was that girl who didn't even do great makeup. You know what I mean? And wanted to be a great makeup artist, and wanted just to do makeup every day for work, and that's how I make a living. Yeah. So that's what I have to remember.
That's kind of what I come back to also. Sometimes if I have a bad show or there's troubles with the lights or the cameras or whatever, I'm like, whatever bad happened today, it happened doing something I enjoy doing. I'm not having a bad day at something I didn't even want to be doing. Yeah. I'm having a bad day at something I did want to be doing.
Wishing you were here 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And then you look around and say, whatever the setup is, it's 5 years ago, would I have thought this was a win? And a lot of times the answer is, yeah, that would have still been a win. So that's good to hear. And then one last question. If you had a little tiger tea pet, what name would you give to your little tiger?
My little tiger? Journey.
Journey? Journey the tiger? Well,
Journey
there you go. This is yours to keep.
I love gifts.
Yeah, so there you go.
Anything. Give me anything. Give me toilet paper.
So enjoy Journey the Tiger. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. And for everybody, thank you so much for watching, especially if you stayed here to the end. For those of you who don't know, Jesse's Tea House, we have a tea shop where everything that you see here, the tea pets, the tea sets, all this stuff is... Get you a journey. all of this stuff is on the shop, and we do things a little differently. We get everything over from China on a boat. I have a warehouse in the States, so if you order any of the teas or tea stuff, it's coming from the U.S., so it'll get to you fairly quickly, and it's definitely the best way to support the channel and, you know, enjoy great tea times with people. As you can see, like the thing I liked about tea that I did not think about before I got into tea was just how good it is for having somebody over and chatting.
Yes.
And that's what the tea really does. So beyond having good flavor, it's also a way to be able to hang out with your friends. So thank you all so much. Where can they find you on the internet?
Jules Beauty on all social platforms.
Great, awesome. So everybody, if you're into the beauty stuff, or if you really need help, and some people need help, don't they? They do. Don't worry about needing the help. Get the help you need, and go and learn how to do makeup, or check out your channel for some tips on how to do that. And also, I don't know where we're going to be able to fit this in, but I think you're going to do a makeup thing for me now.
We're going to do it now.
So we're going to do that now, and so maybe we'll play some music over that or something, but who knows? But thank you again so much, everybody. Thank you, Julie, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you guys in the future.
Bye.
Have a good one.